Hello and welcome to the opening of this vlog that has been a nightmare and I haven't even started it yet. Alright, so this is mystery sources. I have 10 booktubers and 10 books. I will be doing a spinner wheel to decide which of these I read. We'll start with 3. That tends to be my level of tolerance for vlogging TBRs. So 3 books, I don't know which ones. I went through so much mental anguish picking these people and books. So I had a lot of criteria. First one is they all had to be booktubers, so you can watch their channels, you can be familiar with their content, all of that. I wanted to make it where there was a reasonable chance that you would already be able to match the person to the book. That's me from the future saying that this graphic is on my Instagram story. It's in my highlights. So if you, while you're watching, if you want to, you can take your shot at matching everybody to which book. The next one was I had to mention them on my channel more than once. You could reasonably have watched my channel and have heard of these booktubers. Additionally, it had to be a book that I felt I was recognizable as their taste. So it couldn't just be a book that was on my TBR because of their recommendation, because I'm not telling you until the end who recommended what. So I wanted it to be one that you might reasonably associate with this booktuber. Then after that, I went based on ones that were already on my TBR that I thought could be associated with the booktuber, and then I added like 4 more to kind of round it out of books that reasonably could be on my TBR that I think I'll enjoy, but just weren't. A nightmare. So real quickly, let's go over the books on this possible TBR. The first one is Bryony and Roses by T. Kingfisher. I'm a big fan of T. Kingfisher. They write such good characters, and I particularly like their fantasy romance books, which this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Next is Heartstone, which is a Pride and Prejudice retelling with dragons. It's been on my radar for forever. I'm a big Pride and Prejudice fan, although I don't read all that many retellings of it. Next is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. I've read the first 2 books years ago. This book was actually on my TBR for over a year and I never read it, and then I deleted it. And now a year later, we're giving it another go. Next is Only for the Week. This is a Black love romance that I have not picked up, even though I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, because I'm not really that into wedding settings, and that's what this is. And there's a lot of family drama, particularly because her sister is marrying her ex, and even though she doesn't care at all, it was not a significant ex. Everyone's treating her like she's very fragile. Next is Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. Again, I've known about this for forever, and I finally got talked into trying it. It's a fantasy romance with like portal fantasy, so she swaps places. She shows up in this fantasy world and she's in the body of another person, and that person the love interest despises, and she doesn't know why, obviously, and all of that. Then I have Bonded by Thorns. This is a Why Choose fantasy fae romance. The 3rd book is coming out in December, and the 3rd book is the final book. So I've heard a couple of my friends on this list, a couple of them rave about it, and I think that I would probably like it. Then I have The Rest of the Story by Bauer. This is a male-male hockey romance with a lot of heartbreak, a lot of trauma. I expect to cry. 2 of my friends on this list have it as their favorite book of the year. 2 of the 10 people on this list have it as their favorite book of the year, so it has to happen. Then I have Dangerous Temptations. This is a mafia romance, I believe, and I actually own this book on ebook because it was gifted to me, and that's why it's on here. Then I have Love Theoretically by Elle Hazelwood. I read and loved The Love Hypothesis a couple years ago. This is one of those books that, or one of those authors that her books are very similar, and even though I really like it, I like it like once every couple of years. I don't need a book a month from this, but it's time. It's time, and I've heard really good things about this one in particular. And lastly, Born Darkly is a dark romance. It's kind of a Joker and Harley Quinn type book. He's a criminal, she's his criminal psychiatrist, and he's going to manipulate her. I recently read and enjoyed this author for the first time, so I'm ready. Here are our booktubers. I'm going to very quickly go through some of the things that I think of when I talk about these people, even though I could easily give you like 10, 20 books for every single one of them. I just gave you 3, and the stress is getting to me. The first one is Steph at Novelty Corner. Obviously, we do the Ilona Andrews read-alongs together. Of course, I associate Ilona Andrews with her. I also associate lighthearted contemporary romances and hockey books. Next is Mara at Books Like Whoa. I associate her with Ruby Dixon for sure, classics in general, and also she, for someone who reads a wide range of genres, but romance is one of her higher genres, she reads a really interesting mix of indie romances and traditionally published romances, and I like that about her. Then I have Ashley at Bookish Realm. She read the McLean brothers after I did, and I just remember really loving watching her. Love those books. Also, she's one of the reasons why I read The Culmination of Everything, specifically by Christina C. Jones. Heartbreaking. Her and Brie talked me right into this. And then I originally had 3 manga on this TBR and ended up swapping them out, but The Apothecary Diaries she has been raving about, and I want to read it because of her. Then I have Shay at Shay Geeks Out. I definitely associate paranormal romance with Shay. She read A Soul to Keep after I did and is way more obsessed with it than I ever was. Also, I read Spell of Desire because of her. She was the first person that I ever read a manga because of their recommendation. And also Christine Feehan. She's read like 30 plus, at least, Christine Feehan books. Then I have Ray at Bookmark Chronicles. I mostly associate her with fantasy, but she does read a lot of romance. A lot of the romance that she reads now, these days, is because of me. So obviously I'm not reading them because I already read them. But Ray Bearer I read and loved this year because of Ray. She loves the Mafia Misfits series even more than I do. And also Black Sun, I associate with her. Then Izzy, A Happy For Now, another manga girly that I read most of the manga from because she talks me right into it and she also sends it to me. Also, she liked Kristen Ashley before I did, so I associate her with that. And she and I both adore Maybe Next Time from Christina C. Jones. Then Brie at Lemon Words is a Rosie Adams stan. Also dark romance, also Alexis Hall, queer romance, heartbreaking, rip your heart out. You cannot trust Brie's recommendations. All of her recommendations I feel like must be collaborated by somebody else who's like, no, like you're not gonna cry, because Brie can't be trusted on that barometer. She will be like, it was fine, and I will be sobbing my eyes out. So I love Brie, but the amount of books she puts on my TBR really have to be collaborated by somebody else. Because I'm not emotionally equipped to deal with her books. And I have Naima at Naima's Reads, and this is my first ever booktuber friend, so I will not shut up about that. And I definitely associate dark romance, mafia, motorcycle club, new adult, toxic, stalker, that type of thing. So Run Posey Run, Sophie Lark, Rena Kent was the first ever book that we commiserated over, and you know, just holds a special place in my heart. And I have Angela at Literature Science Alliance. She does not read as much romance, but I watch her weekly wrap-ups every single Friday religiously. And she is the one who recommended The Mask of Mirrors, which is my favorite book, favorite series of the year. Also T. Kingfisher, also Allie Hazelwood. She is in academia, so her analysis on Allie Hazelwood books always cracks me up. And then last but not least, we have Robin at Paperbacks and Planners, who I associate with the Necessary Evil series and the Criminal Intention series. Both are crime, dark, male romance series. And also, she is the one that I talked into loving Elsie Winters as much as I do. Also, back to our original template, Robin took this out of my hands and lined all this up for me and saved me from myself. And I just love her for that. So I really appreciate Robin. Without her, this would not be working nearly as well. Okay, now we're gonna spin the wheel and we're going to see. That's such a long intro, but whatever. I'm so worried about how long this is going to be. So worried, you don't even know. Okay, mystery sources. Number 1, what are we reading first? I'm so nervous. There's some that I really want. The rest of the story, great, because I was definitely going to read that in November regardless, so I'm really happy with that pick, even though I do think I'm going to cry. Actor A.G. Brown. This one should be much more lighthearted and should be a nice pick-me-up. That's 2 contemporary romances. Let's go one more and see what we get. Bryony and Roses, Fancy Romance by T. Kingfisher. I do think I have to buy this one because all the libraries seem to only have the audiobook. However, I am willing to buy it because I love T. Kingfisher. All right, that's all that you have for now. I will check in when I've read at least one of these. So I'm about 50% through the rest of the story by Bauer. And I haven't cried or anything yet, but I'm pretty sure that I've heard that you cry like the last bit of the book. So I've kind of been putting off finishing it because one, I was like, no, I need to go to bed. Like, I don't want to hit like the crucial point. And then yesterday I was just way too busy. And again, I was like, I don't want to start reading at bedtime. And I'd be like in the middle of it and have like 2 hours left, you know? So I haven't finished it yet. But thoughts so far is it's great. The writing is very good. It is single POV, which I would prefer dual, but it's fine. It's single POV, and he, you know, has come in and rescued this team basically from a very abusive captain, and he has some timing on his side and some allies on his side, but they get rid of him and he's awful. I'm worried. He went very quietly, like he just poofed. I'm worried that he's gonna show back up. I'm very worried for that. But so he's older. He had an abusive father and he has never been open to love. He's always been just one night stands or, you know, just friends with benefits, that type of thing. And he is falling in love. He's falling in love and he won't lie himself. He's being, he's falling in love with this rookie, but he's a much older rookie. He's 24. He graduated from Harvard before coming to the NHL. And he is a virgin and is saving himself for marriage, but is also in love with him. And he's like, no, I can't love. And he's like, well, I can't hook up. And as much as I am maybe kind of anti waiting for marriage because of growing up in purity culture, I do still respect people's choices. And, you know, if that is something that you want to do, I don't think that you're like brainwashed or crazy or, you know, it's the trauma. Like, everyone should be able to decide for themselves. I'm not really sure what they're gonna end up doing, but they are ripping my little heart out. They're just so angsty. Oh my gosh, like they love each other. They're perfect for each other. They're literally together all the time. But we have started dating and I'm worried. I'm scared. I'm scared. I've just heard so many things about like this being emotional and everything, and I feel like we have kind of done a lot of that, but I'm worried that we have the worst yet to come. I'm scared, but it is really good. It is really good. So that's my update. I look like a wreck. Finish the rest of the story by Bauer. I cried my way from the 80% mark to the end, like, I don't know how many chapters. I cried so much. Ay. 5 stars, obviously. It was great. It was horrible. It was emotional. It was heart-wrenching. It was heartwarming. It was just, ugh. I need coffee to get through this. Okay. 1, it was a really sweet romance. How they waited for marriage was just really sweet. I don't need that in my books. It's not something that I'm actively looking for. In fact, it might be something that I would have a tendency to avoid even. But they were just really, really sweet. And I think part of that was because our younger hero, he was just doing that for himself. his parents weren't doing it. You know, his religion wasn't the reason. It was just him. It was just, he wanted that. And to love somebody and respect that about them, you know, all of that. It was just really sweet. Oh, I'm gonna cry. So like the 70% mark, I was like, why was I worried? Why was I worried? Everything is fine. This is so great. I love this book. Because I had read 50% before, so this morning, you know, I read the 20%. So sweet, everything's going great, and then 80% mark. Oh my gosh, everything fell apart. I will say, it was all external stuff, so like their relationship was rock solid for 50% of the book, and I loved that. Well, they had like a little bit of angst and pining and stuff there at the beginning, and he was like, I can't love you, and he was like, I'm waiting for marriage, and I need love and stuff. It was at the appropriate place in the book, you know, where that didn't bother me, because it was still the beginning, and once they decided to be together, they were together, and nothing could affect that, because anything that they went through, they just got closer together, right? There's a lot of content warnings for this book. The abusive captain not only abused them physically and emotionally, one of them he abused sexually, and there's an escalation of that. The 80% mark is an attack, basically, by that former captain. So there's a lot of things with that. You know, I don't really recommend books that make me cry so much. Like, I am just not any emotional book person. It's one of, like, I had no doubt that this book would be 5 stars. I had no doubt that I would, you know, love every minute of it, and that the writing would get to me and, you know, be worth the read and stuff, but I just don't need that. Like, I don't need that in my reading experience. I can skip those books and it still be okay, even knowing how amazing they are. So when we get to the reveals, I'll kind of explain why I read this book fully knowing that it was going to destroy me. And it did. Yeah, great found family, great side characters. There's not a lot of prominent side characters. You know, a lot of it's just, you know, the guys gathered around, or the wives and kids, you know, came over. There's a lot of that, and I appreciate that. But you did have, you know, some that you knew by name, and you knew how they related to the heroes and what they were going through and stuff. It was just a great book. Male book written by a man, which is always a plus. I mean, if it sounds good to you, it's well worth your read. I don't think you're gonna hate it. I think you're gonna love it. But if you're like me, it's really emotional, and I might skip. So funnily enough, last night I didn't want to like get into that book and be crying at like midnight. So I started Actor A.G. Brown by Talia Hibbert, which is the 3rd book in the series. I've read the previous 2 before, and I was crying. I was crying. I cried a couple of times reading the first 50% of that book. I am such, like, I know that some people see, like, bittersweet or kind of, like, inspirational or heartwarming, or, like, oh, that's so, like... No, I cry. I hate it. I hate it so much. Don't give me like, oh, but they died, but then like they saved. No. Don't give me, oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I love you. I can't do it. Like, I hate it. My husband loves that stuff. He has been watching the One Piece live version. He's like very into it. He's very excited about it, and I refused to watch it with him. And he told me the story, which I won't tell you, but he was like, you know, what did he call it? Wholesome. He called it wholesome. And it was like this tragedy, but like the one person was like sparing the other person, you know, was protecting them from how bad it was. And I was like, ah! I didn't even watch the show. I'm just listening to him tell it, and then I'm like crying. And I'm like, I didn't want to know any of this. You said it was a wholesome story. So like he loves that stuff and wouldn't even dream of crying about it unless it's like, you know, his favorite character of all time, then it'll start getting to him. But for me, like, I could have never seen you before, and I'm watching this 2-minute video of you being reunited with your loved one or whatever, and I am tearing up. I just can't do it. So actor A.G. Brown, to cheer me up, didn't really work out for me. Doesn't really work out for me so far. It is great. It is sweet. It's great writing. Again, it's everything that I thought that it would be. It's not that I ever thought that I wouldn't like the book. It's just I felt like I could live without that emotional connection. Here we are. And then I got Bryony and Rose's on audiobook from the library because I was like, maybe I could do it. Maybe I could do it. Because I don't want to buy the book right now. Like, I mean, it's $5, but at the same time, I don't really want to buy the book right now. Like, I'm putting all my money towards Christmas, obviously. And like, I just don't need this book. Like, I don't need it at all. I only need it for this video, and I don't really want to spend money for a video, to be perfectly honest. I don't. So I might try listening to the audiobook, and if not, we might just postpone that book. We'll see. I don't like audiobooks. You know this. I know this. I don't like them. They just don't work well for my brain. I don't really enjoy it. But I love getting things for free from the library, so we might attempt this. And that's it. I need coffee. I need time to decompress. This is such a long update, but like what did you expect from me? Like, I am not doing great. Yeah, what a ride. What a ride. All right, I'll check in after I finish another book. You might hear playing downstairs, but I realized I never told you what actor A.G. Brown is about, because I just view it as one of those things that everybody knows, I've known for forever. So this is a contemporary romance between two autistic main character love interests, and she is a walking disaster. Her family is like, get your act together, and she is kind of offended by that, so she goes into the countryside. She ends up at this B&B, runs into this very grumpy, very uptight B&B owner, and he's collateral damage to her mess. And then she's like, well, I have to fix this, so I'm gonna stay and help you out. And they fall in love. And they are both so worried about being hurt and about, you know, they're too weird and they don't fit and people don't choose them. And it's just, it's really cute and sweet and funny. Great writing, great characters, but also a little bit sad. A little bit sad. So, yeah, there you go. All right, now you can.
Hi.
Hi. Me and my mini-me are here to close out the vlog. So I finished actor A.G. Brown, and it was exactly what I expected it to be. It's another case of I'm right about all of my reading predictions. Always.
I don't know about that.
Huh? You don't know about that?
Yeah.
When am I ever wrong?
No way to cards. No way to cards.
Unicorns?
There's no unicorn.
I did say that there's no unicorns, so obviously I must be wrong about that.
Make it fun, there's unicorns in it.
And I said there was no Bigfoot either.
Wow.
Wow, so
I
could
can't
possibly be
believe
right about that.
that.
I know. So Actor A.G. Brown, 5 stars. I could have done without reading it. I could have, but I also did love it. Just as I knew I would.
The next one has unicorns in it.
She had purple hair. You like that?
Yes, I like purple.
Yes. So, third act breakup.
Even though
That's unnecessary.
But the heart.
Mm-hmm. And then I read the audiobook of Bryony and Roses by T. Kingfisher.
I don't know that.
Everybody's shocked. You didn't hear the book playing?
No.
On my phone?
No.
It was reading out loud while I brushed your hair
No.
yesterday.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Why did it have the story? You can see any pictures.
Because it's an audiobook. It's just sound.
I can't wait that.
Me either.
It's like there's no heart.
Like there's no heart?
Or no color.
Nope, no
Or
colors.
no winter
Did you know that some people can see color when they hear noises? Now that's that one. Not us.
No, I didn't.
You didn't know that?
It's like there's a chicken.
A chicken?
Yeah.
No chicken.
Yes, chicken.
There was chicken manure in this book.
Spirit.
All right, say bye.
It's like a chicken poo, man.
It was chicken poop. And we all know how much you love a good poop joke.
Chicken people has chicken head.
So anyways, Bryony and Roses is the Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it was done really, really well, which I thought T. Kingfisher would. So you can recognize it as the story, but it is completely different, creative, lots of surprises, lots of changes, and really well done as a story on its own, and not just, here's the story, we gotta stick to it. Like, they really did a good job reimagining it. And so the story was interesting on its own, whether it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling or not. And I think that is something that's lacking in a lot of retellings. So I loved it, despite the fact that I had to listen to it on an audiobook, which I still would have preferred to read it with my eyeballs. That is just what I like. I do listen to it on 1 time speed, the thing that annoys everybody else. I hate sped up. I hate it. So I was able to listen to that while I did, video admin and housework and things like that, and loved it. 5 stars. Honestly, because of the 3 books that we spun, I expected 3 5 stars. I really did. A 4 would have been a slight disappointment, but acceptable. 3 stars or a DNF for these books specifically would have been disappointing. Like, I was pretty confident that I was going to really, really love all of these. And I don't think that any of the books on this list would be a 2 or a 1 star, because I do trust, yes, I do trust the people who I got the recommendations from enough that, it might be a DNF. Any book can be a DNF, but it was very unlikely that I was going to hate any of these books. So, but the 3 that we spun, I was especially confident that they were going to be good. So that being said, it's time for the grand reveal of who picked what. We're going to skip the books that I read initially, and then we'll come back to this. So those will be our last ones. So the first one then is Heartstone, and this was Mara at Books Like Whoa. She told me this was a Pride and Prejudice, well, she said in a video years ago, so long ago, that this was a Pride and Prejudice retelling with dragons, and it just stuck in my brain. And I've been kind of interested in it ever since. Haven't picked it up, haven't read page 1, but she has, convinced me to read many a book, honestly. The next one would be Only for the Week, and this was Ashley's Ashley's contribution. Ashley was the first person that I saw read this, and I've seen like tons of my friends read it since and love it. I remember Ashley's like highlights and stuff on her Instagram story, and they are filthy. Filthy. Next would be A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker, and this is Robin at Paperbacks and Planners pick. She has single-handedly tried to talk me into this, and the main reason I have not read it ever before is because I have never actually picked up a K.A. Tucker book. I don't think. I'm not really interested in her most popular ones, but this one is very similar to Wildest Dreams by Chris and Ashley, and I've already read that and loved it, and this is like a very similar premise, and so I haven't, but I'm going to. In fact, you might see it in another vlog this month. Next is Bonded by Thorns, and this is Shay's pick at Shay Geeks Out. She and Izzy buddy read this and loved it. Loved it. They've been raving about it, and I love a good why choose. I love good fae romance, so I think that I'm gonna like it. This also might be in a fantasy romance vlog later, but I don't think it will. It depends on if I do enough a bunch of other things. Then Dangerous Temptations by Gianna Darling is Naima at Naima's Reads pick. She loves this book. It's like a mafia duet, I think. She has said many a thing that has almost had me picking this up. And yet here I sit, still not a single page read. Then Love Theoretically by Elle Hazelwood is Izzy at Happy for Now's pick. I feel like might have bamboozled some people on this one, but it was Izzy that ultimately convinced me to read it, even though I've seen Mara love it and Robin love it and Angela love it. But yeah, it was Izzy. Izzy is often the final contributor to me putting a book on my TBR. Often. A lot of times I've already heard a couple other people like it, and then Izzy likes it too, and I'm just like, oh, clearly I'm gonna love it. And then I never read it. And then lastly, for the unread books, we have Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe. This should be an easy one if you are familiar with her channel. This screams Brie at 11 Words. Brie has been raving about this duet for years, and I did finally read Morrow this summer. I was scared to read Trisha Wolfe, but I really liked it, and so because of that, I officially put it on my TBR. And there it remains to this day. So that leads us to our final three. We have Bryony and Roses, actor A.G. Brown, and the rest of the story. We have Ray at Bookmark Chronicles, Steph on Novelty Corner, and Angela at Literature Science Alliance. So do you know who the final three are? Do you know who picked what? Comment, pause and comment. Nobody is going to participate in this, but I, in my mind, am like, I've created this whole thing and nobody knows. All right, Ray is actor A.G. Brown. Ray has special editions of these books, so I particularly associate them with her. And she has long ranted at me to finally pick this book up because I read the first two long before she did, I think. And years later, I finally picked it up and loved it, as we all knew I would. And Bryony and Roses is Angela at Literature Science Alliance, my T. Kingfisher bud. She really liked this one and really helped keep it prioritized at the top of my T. Kingfisher backlist TBR, which I do think that this is the last of her like fancy romance, and this one doesn't have a sex scene or anything, and her other fancy romance has one, but it was so good. The banter, the beast, the banter, the sarcasm, it was great. Loved it. So Angela was really right on that. It was so good. It was everything that I hoped that it would be, even in audiobook form. And then lastly, again, like if you know her channel, you should know who this was. But the rest of the story by Tal Bauer is from Steph at Novelty Corner, and it's her favorite book of the year. It's also Robin at Paperbacks and Planners' favorite book of the year, if I'm recalling correctly. Steph has read this book 4 times this year. 4 times! And like, obviously, I was going to read it. And actually, I didn't pick it up yet, even though she read it in like January or February. I didn't pick it up yet because I knew I was going to cry. And I was like, I don't really want to, but also it's Steph, and like I kind of want to read her favorite book because I love her. And then Steph was like, hey, me show you. Steph bought a copy to annotate, and she wanted to send it to some of us to annotate also. And that was the only push that I needed. This is my little annotation pen. That was the only push that I needed to read it for her. So this is Steph. This is me. I'm the first one with it after Steph. That was what I needed, was a project. I was like, of course I want to annotate her favorite book for her and send it back. Of course I do. And that was all I needed to know that I was going to sob. And sob I did. Sob I did. But it was worth it. And I'm really glad that I did read it. And I'm going to be able to finish annotating this in the next couple of days and send it on to the next person. And, you know, it'll make its way back to Steph, which I think is really exciting. I think that's a fun thing to do. That's it. Those were my mystery sources, the booktubers who had put books on my TBR. It's such a small group of them, such a small group of books. I get a lot of my TBR from other people, obviously. But 3 5-stars in a row. The month is off to a great start. Phenomenal success. Not a single DNF. Binga Binga Booma is the 4th right now. It's Saturday. I'm going to watch a wrestling event with my family, which has already started because I kind of took too long with this, and order pizza, and then you'll see this on Tuesday. So hello. When I told you I was worried about this being so long, but I was also just worried about it being like really big projects and stuff. Success, just like bing, bing, boom. 3 5-stars in 3 days, basically. It's the 4th. I know, but I didn't read on the 1st, so you see where. See. Anywho, this was great. I would love to see other people do this. I just think that I would be very entertained trying to guess, you know, who did what. And of course you have readers who would read all 10 books, and that's beyond my comprehension, but you know, I don't know, it would be fun. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Love all of these booktubers. I watch them all the time. So, you know, I need more booktubers who are actually interesting to watch, and this is a good list. This is a real good list. So, you know, if you're not subscribed to any of them, I religiously watch them. I find them entertaining. I find their book recommendations great. Their analysis great. Their discussions great. Just some of my very favorite booktubers. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!